everybody. So I want to take a couple minutes in this video to go over the short stories exam review in this week's module. So under the video, you're going to see a link in blue where you can download the Word file that has the review on it, but you'll also see it copied and pasted underneath that blue link. So all of that's underneath this video. First thing you need to know is that the exam will consist of 31 short answer questions. They will total 100 points. Okay. The questions, of course, are going to cover the 6 short stories that we read during weeks 5 through 8. All right. You're going to be asked to identify a theme from each story and how the various literary elements worked in each story. So, I'm going to go through just to sort of give you a refresher, but I'm not going to give you the answers in this video because I've already done that. The answers to all of these questions are in the follow-up videos each week. So go back to the PowerPoint for the story of an hour, review that PowerPoint, and if you need to, re-watch my video where I go through the PowerPoint. Same thing for all the other stories. Everything you need to answer these questions correctly are in those PowerPoints and videos. If you didn't watch the videos the first time around, I suggest doing that before you take the exam. Or if you did watch the videos the first time around and going through the PowerPoints just isn't helping things click, right? Then you can rewatch the video for more of a refresher. And maybe you'll only have to do that for a few of the stories and not all 6, right? But they're there for you. The answers to these questions are in those PowerPoints, and the videos help reinforce the PowerPoints. Okay? Use them to your advantage. But just to give you an idea of what the exam will sort of consist of, you're going to look at the story of an hour. You're going to have to be familiar with the themes of that story that were discussed in the PowerPoint and video. You're going to need to be prepared to discuss or explain at least one of those themes in a brief paragraph. What did we learn about that story's structure? How did the structure help us understand the theme? How did it relate? Be prepared to explain that answer in a brief paragraph. What did we learn about point of view in the story of an hour? And how did the story's point of view help us understand the theme? How did it function in the story? Be prepared to explain that answer in a brief paragraph. What did we learn about imagery and symbolism in the story of an hour? And how did those items, how did those elements help us understand the theme better? How did they relate? Be prepared to explain that answer in a brief paragraph. And then finally, what did we learn about setting and atmosphere in the story of an hour? And how did those elements connect to the theme or help us understand the story better? Why were setting and atmosphere important? Be prepared to explain that in a brief paragraph. That's how, sorry, it's an alarm. Be prepared to do that for every short story that we've read. The one difference is for the story everyday use, right? There is an additional element that you will need to consider, and that is the characters. So, for everyday use, what did we learn about the story's three main characters, and how did those characters help us understand the theme better? And again, be prepared to answer in a brief paragraph. So, for all 6 stories, make sure you are familiar with the themes that are discussed for each story. Be prepared to talk about how structure played a role, how point of view played a role, how imagery and symbolism played a role, and how setting and atmosphere played a role. And then for everyday use, also be prepared to discuss how the characters played a role. Again, a brief paragraph for each answer. Everything you need. What the answers I'm expecting you to give are in those PowerPoints, and I go over it in detail in the video lessons. Don't try to wing it. This is the you're going to be taking this exam in the last week of the course. There will be no opportunity to make corrections like there was with the drama and poetry exam. You need to make sure you are prepared for this exam before you just jump right in and try to take it. I'm not going to say it's easy, but at the same time, you literally have everything you need in those lessons, in the PowerPoints and videos. So you could use this review sheet and jot down some answers, right? Help yourself remember all of these elements from each of the stories we read. And, we can even call it an open book test if you want. Now, literally opening the textbook isn't going to help quite as much. But open book, open note, how about that, right? Not open internet. Don't go to websites to find the answers. You don't need to go to the websites to find the answers. The answers are already in the PowerPoints, okay? Use those PowerPoints. Rewatch the videos for any story that you have kind of forgotten or you're unclear about, anything you're uncertain about. The videos are there to help reinforce, okay? But use the PowerPoints to help you go through this little review. Jot stuff down if you want, and use those notes to help you on the exam so that not only will you be more likely to get full points for every answer, but also you'll be more likely to get done with the exam a little quicker, right? Don't forget, this is worth 30% of your overall grade. That probably seems harsh, but if you think about it, we didn't do any big projects or big essays in this class, right? So, to make sure you have learned what you're supposed to learn, we're doing it in this manner instead. But again, it's the last week of the course, and there's no chance to make corrections or bring that grade up. So, prepare for this. So, here in week 9, the only items that you have for homework are Journal 9 and the Week 9 discussion. And I designed it that way so that you would have more time to review and prepare for the short stories exam next week. And next week, that's all you have. That's all you have to do for week 10 is the short stories exam. So please take advantage of all of that to prepare and make sure you do well on this exam. Don't forget, week 10 is a short week. This exam has to be submitted by 11:59 Thursday night of week 10. The course ends at that time, and I am not allowed to accept anything submitted after that deadline. So use your time here in week 9, get that journal and discussion out of the way, and review for the exam. Take some time at the beginning of week 10 to review if you haven't yet at that point. But use all the tools that you have to your advantage. Make sure you have it submitted by Thursday night's deadline. If you have any questions about any of the short stories, if you're going through this review and you're unsure of something, reach out to me, okay? I want to make sure everyone does well on this exam. So prepare, review, and let me know if you have any questions.